Thanks so much, and thanks everybody for giving us the chance to say hello today and introduce ourselves. So my name is Trace Dolan. I am the Director of Association Management and Consulting at MCI. And just to give you a little introduction into who we are, MCI are a global engagement and marketing agency, but we have a real focus on building community, bringing people together and making sure communications are open, transparent, and everybody knows where we are and what needs to happen and when. We work with a number of organisations like OHTA, and we're really excited to start working with you guys to be able to get to know you and start working with you on a day-to-day basis. So just a little introduction into what MCI do. We have a range of services, so you'll see them here. Association solutions, which means very much working as the office for OHTA. We will be the first point of contact, the place you go if you have any questions, queries, and the people that you want to speak to. But also we're here to work on the daily the daily business with OHTA, but we also want to work on the long-term plan. So we want to get to know you, understand what needs to happen, understand the organisation and how we can make sure that OHTA are ready to grow on into the future and remain strong and future proofed for many years to come. So when OHTA came to us, we were really happy to get involved, and we can't wait to get to know everybody. So just some quick stats on MCI at a glance. We are a global company. We have offices in 31 countries, and we have almost 1,500 employees. So we are all over the world, and there are a number of people here that work at MCI. However, for you, the important people are the team who are based here in the UK. So as I said, I'm Association Director and I head up the team here in the UK office, and I'm supported by a number of key people with various skills that will bring a great range of skills and abilities to support OHTA. We've got Damien, who is our digital director, who is really excited to start looking at systems and how we can make things, the online systems, easy, fast, effective. We've got Laura, who's really excited about getting all of the communications out to everybody, working with the team to ensure that newsletters and information is shared. We've obviously got Mary, who is our finance manager, who's making sure the numbers all add up and everything is as it is. But your most important contact is going to be Vicky, and Vicky is also on the call with us today. So Vicky is going to be your association manager. Vicky is going to be the person on the other end of the phone on a day-to-day basis when you need to call her if you want to reach out. So Vicky is here as well with us, and she's here to answer any questions you might have, but her contact details are there to be shared, and we're really looking forward to hearing from you and getting to know you a lot more in the coming months. So that's just a quick update from us. I'll hand back to you, Nest, and as I said, really looking forward to getting to know you all better.
Thank you, Therese. Well, the next we gave a short overview on OHTA and especially who is who. So slides will be shared. So I think you can go through it easily when you download the slides. So if you go to the next slide. So first, of course, we have our OHTA Board of Trustees. So here are all the names who are actually part of the board. So very important is that we are actually situated all over the world, from the US to Belgium. Oh, sorry, there is someone, the screen coming into. Australia, Spain, South Africa. So, well, this is actually our current board. So the next slide will give you an overview of the key OHTA committees. So we have an advisory committee who is co-chaired by Michael Connor and Dr. Albert Tien. And we also have the editorial committee with our chief editor, Sven Hoffman from Switzerland. And we have the award and qualification committee that is chaired by Lynn O'Donnell. So we also have our board advisors, and we have, well, David is on the call today. The board advisors are Roger Ellsbury, Nancy McCallan, David O'Malley, and Noel Tresder. So if we go to the next slide. Well, something new, and you probably have seen it already, that we focus much more on news. So we created the OHTA news team that is actually co-chaired by Debbie Dietrich from the US and Jason Hodgkiss from the UK. So you have also seen the new Global Link newsletter that was first issued January this year. And well, this really focuses on, let's say, members, ATPs and so on who want to share the story, and that we will show in our newsletter. So if we go to the next slide. Well, we have, of course, our OHTA members, and well, those members are mostly national associations or IOHA members that have signed a memorandum of understanding with OHTA. And important is that they commit to support and promote the development and implementation of OHTA international training and qualifications framework, and encourage, promote, and support the use of the OHTA modules and qualifications within their areas of operations. So that is important to mention. And they have also voting rights at our annual general meeting and are given the opportunity to comment on relevant training provider applications, and they are involved in editorial review and development, including translations of our course materials. So if you go to the next slide, well, here is a map of our member associations. So the dark blue are all member associations of OHTA. So you see, you know, the light blue is the rest of the world map. So there is quite a lot of work to do, and you see on this map. So the next slide is giving you an overview of all member associations. I will not, name them all, but you see here we have 29 members, and we will come back to that a little bit later when we give the update on IOHA. So I will now give the floor to Sven, our chief editor, to give us some updates on the training materials.
Thank you, Stephen. Next slide, please. So we have a couple of modules, and I think most of you will be aware of those. We have 7 modules in the intermediate sector, but we have also some awareness modules, health and safety, silica hazards. We have this foundation module in 201, and we have also specialist modules. And maybe some of you will not be already acquainted with the pharmaceutical industry module. This is something new. Next slide, please. So we have the 7 in the intermediate section, and you see some ticks, and the ticks means that 6 out of the 7 modules are currently under review, and the double ticked one, the 2, this is the 503 and the 507. These are now finally reviewed, so we will finish the review of these modules in the next weeks. And of course, you will get on our homepage the latest stuff in the latest teaching and learning material. So, and this is likewise all the others. Next slide, please. So how could you get involved? The first thing what we really need from your side as teachers on the front, we need your feedback. We need your suggestions. How could we improve a manual? Could we improve the contents? What are the learning needs of your students? And if you derive something out of the OHTA material, and by the way, this is also our agreement and our terms under which we provide you for free with our teaching and learning materials. So if you derive anything from our teaching and learning materials, be it the slides, being the manual, then please forward that to us too. Make all your stuff you derive from our teaching and learning materials available for us too, please. And further, if you have any good illustrations which we may use for the manual and slides, please forward those to us too. We are urgently in need of good illustrations. And finally, if you would consider to become a module reviewer, if you would try to help us out in the module review, please get in touch with me. You are more than welcome to join the team. Thank you. Next slide. And with that, I hand over to Stephen again. Thank you.
Thank you, Sven. And I will now hand over to David to give us an update on the online delivery.
Okay, thanks. Next slide, please. So in Q1 of last year, the pandemic struck, and that really halted face-to-face delivery of training courses in many countries. So what we did was open up the online delivery option. In order to deliver the courses online, you have to be approved by OHTA to do that. And some conditions apply on that. You must already be an ATP. You have to complete an OHTA checklist document telling us how you propose to run your online courses, and you then have to submit that completed form to the address you see there, the team address. I have the role of online training coordinator, so I will then review those applications. There may be some concerns about what you propose to do, so I would discuss those with the ATP concerned and then issue the OHTA approval. The approvals are done on an annual basis. They're actually being renewed for next year right now. Some of you on the call may have recently received your updated renewal for 2022. Others may still be waiting, so I'm in the middle of doing that. In order to try to ensure that we get comparable learning outcomes for the students to the face-to-face courses, we impose certain conditions on the OHTA approvals for online delivery. They vary from one ATP to another depending upon the number of factors, how you schedule the courses, the number of students allowed on each course, the number of tutors online throughout each course, and the ATP's record of pass rates in the exams. And ATPs must comply with the joint OHTA BOHS guidance, which has the reference DH3 on how to carry out the mandatory practical exercises included in each of the W500 series courses. The practical exercises presented a particular problem of doing them online because we can't necessarily have hands-on training of using occupational hygiene measurement equipment, but that's an important element of the course. So we devised a way of doing that remotely. Currently, we have a total of 25 ATPs that hold OHTA approval to run one or more of the courses using online delivery. Some only run one OHTA course, that's usually W201. Others run a few different courses, and some run the full suite of 201 and the 7 W500 series. And there's just one that runs the specialist mining course, A1001. From a geographical point of view, 7 of those ATPs are based in the UK. 3 ATPs are based in Australia, 2 ATPs based in each of Canada, India, South Africa and USA, and there's 1 ATP based in each of Indonesia, Ireland, Kuwait, Malaysia, New Zealand, Nigeria and Singapore. So we've got a very widespread geographical spread of ATPs running these online courses. And that's all from me.
Thank you, David. And I will now hand over the floor to Sharon, who gives us an update on the OHTA qualifications.
Good. Next slide, please. Okay, well, just a general introduction to the Awards and Qualifications Committee. Lynn O'Donnell, some of you may well know her from the ABIH organisation, is the chair. We have a very impressive team of people with Jake's really from the South African Institute and past president of IOA, René LeBlanc from Canada, also past president from IOA. Frederic Parrot from France, Andrea Hidinger from the Netherlands, also another past president from IOA, Dr. Alex Chun from Hong Kong, Lisa Williams, who many of you may know from works from BOHS, has been there for many years, and myself as the newbie on the team. Next, please. Okay, so the Awards and Qualifications Committee really provides the link with the IONAR Committee, awarding body, and I'm also on that, so it's very, very helpful being on, having a foot in both teams. And what we do is you know, is a requirement for courses to be offered with a certified occupational hygienist or a NAR qualified course director to teach the W201 courses. This qualifications committee also looks at reviews of training providers who have a relevant education and experience but are not NAR qualified, who would like to teach the W500 series courses and commit to having a NAR qualified hygienist within 2 years. And this has particularly come up in some countries where there are very few occupational hygiene associations and therefore, or members of IOA, and certified occupational hygienists. So this is really a committee that allows to try and promote the OHTA courses in areas where certified hygiene resources are limited. Currently, we're looking at reviews of running exams. Traditionally, the exams were run by BOHS for W201, but now there are other organisations who put up their hand to be able to run exams. South African Institute of Occupational Hygiene have been running their own exams for several years. Workplace Without Borders is also, not sure if they're running them or I think they've applied to run their exams. AOHA and actually the AOH are actually have applied to run their own exams for W201. But I might add the requirements for being able to be approved to run your own exams is very strict and very demanding requirements, and we're working through those at the moment, particularly speaking on behalf of the AOH. Next slide, please. Okay, the OHTA Awards and Qualifications Committee. How to become a member of the AQC? Well, our rules state that one representative may be nominated by each member organisation or OHTA that is recognised by IOA under the National Accreditation Recognition Committee Charter. They notice that there are only a handful of members, so there are plenty of opportunities for other associations to put up a nomination to be a member of the AQC, and we'd encourage that. Next slide, please. So I think it's over to Chris.
Yeah, well, thanks, Sharon. I think Chris is not on the call, but I will take this. So I will provide a short update on our strategic plan. So if you go to the next slide. Well, I think, the path forward is that we want to expand course offerings and audience, of course. And well, we really need a global outreach to those in need. So better communicate of what we have available from our materials, roll out a new website. So people while on the call have probably seen that we have a totally new website. We also, want to focus on the training program development. And well, as David already mentioned, we have an online migration of selected courses We have to rationalize courses, so phase out, for example, unused courses and evaluate emerging needs for new materials, and broaden the translation offerings. So make sure that we have the materials available in different languages. Well, on financial stability, we really need to identify the resources to replace those lost in the pandemic. So, well, due to the pandemic, it was clear that no face-to-face courses were given. And this reflected, of course, in, let's say, decreased revenue coming from the exams. We also want to ensure that those who can provide financial contributions for content they use to do so, while continuing to provide world-class content to disadvantaged communities and users at no cost. So it is really important for everyone on the call that, you know, as we offering all our materials for free, it is really clear that we need some contributions, and especially financial contributions as well, to maintain, let's say, the organization. So if we go to the next slide, and I will give the floor back to Sharon, who will talk about communication strategy.
Could I have the next slide, please, Vicky? Okay, so this slide has been developed by Debbie Deitch, who many of you will know from SKC, and who has done a great job in lifting the communications here. So with this is a section talking about OHTA communications. So could we have the next slide, please? So could you flick into all of them, please, Vicky? So let's just go starting from so the primary mission of OHTA is to improve the health of workers around the world. And as Steve said, we're actually not only for wealthy Western communities, but also for quite underprivileged places as well. So in fact, if in a lot of the communications, you would have seen that Debbie and John Hodgkins, who are doing the comms, are actually focusing on countries around the world. I saw Vietnam, and I've seen other countries as well. It's really they've done a really good job of lifting the comms. So if you're looking at what's happening around the world in occupational hygiene training, go onto the website and you'll find that there's quite a lot of information there for you. Debbie and John have done a really great job in trying to communicate a lot more about the OHTA story and what they have to offer, and also try and build the global OHTA community. The ATPs are really the face of OHTA, and we would really like to encourage you to be more engaged. And you're most welcome to be involved in the communications using the website, or involved in the communications that Debbie and John are putting out together, because really the ATPs, you are really the engine to many ways of the OHTA and what the world sees. So we really encourage you to get more actively involved. Next slide, please. So just there a little bit about the OHTA communications. And I might add, they're very well presented and very readable. They're on the website, so I'd encourage you. And if you haven't seen the new website, it's excellent. And I can tell you that I was involved with the first website, which probably goes back to something like about 2006. So it was really great to see a new website come up, which is really very professionally designed. So we have a bi-monthly publication sent out there, and this particularly focuses on countries and activities. As I mentioned, the country profiles talks about the industries and occupational hazards, the OH organisations, some of the ATPs who are in that country. So if you're working in other countries, this is a really great resource to have a look at. It also is important if there are new courses, and you saw Sven talking about updates, building new courses. Again, our OHTA communications and the website will provide you a lot of information there to keep you informed. So as Debbie has asked, ATPs can help share the OHTA story. Please provide informations and photographs of your students and trainers, along with testimonials, and just really give the human face of OHTA to the rest of the world, and and help engage and promote the OHTA cause, and provide the success stories of OHTA students who have made a significant contribution to the overall mission of worker health. Because I think behind this small paragraph, I think you would find there's a very impressive group of people who are really unsung heroes that would really, and who've made some amazing achievements, but we'd love to be able to promote those stories and promote OHTA in the same voice. Next slide, please. So we have our news releases. These are short publications with key OHTA events, International Day conferences. We have media posts in using Twitter and LinkedIn. And I know that, again, Debbie and John have been working hard getting more of those out. And again, there's a great opportunity to share your stories, share about some of your classes, share about some of your students, and we really welcome and encourage you to be involved. And as kindly pointed out, when we look good, you look good, and we want to be involved with you. So next slide, please. So more ways to keep the OHTA communications. You can advertise courses through the OHTA website, OHTA branding. We'd like you to really improve when you're putting out courses, use the OHTA branding to indicate and let people know that these are OHTA courses. They are top courses designed by the best professionals globally, to be fair, when you look at the team who are writing them. And I have the BOHS and OHTA looking at OHTA does the courses where BOHS is doing the exams, but as I mentioned to you, there are more, some of the associations are looking at developing their own exams just for W201. For the others, BOHS still runs the exams. Next slide, please. More ways to help OHTA communications. Posting of upcoming courses. You're aware of the website. Please, if you're designing your program for 2022, please include it on the website. And particularly, I would have thought for online courses as an opportunity. No, the world is a pretty small place now after the COVID and people doing so much work online. Maybe the time zones might be an impact, but there's a lot of people around the Asia Pacific region who could jump in on some of the Australian ones or Singapore ones that have been offering, or even for the ones in Europe, perhaps. As I said, please post your courses on the OHTA website. Easier to reach potential students globally. Thank you. Next slide, please.
Thank you, Sharon. And well, we put some place here to give, let's say, a creative online learnings approach. Well, this is actually a WHWB approach. If we go to the next slide. So, well, this was also incorporated because of, the pandemic and trying to find a way to do some better course delivery. And well, this was actually a blended synchronous OHTA health and safety awareness training that was done in 3 languages. Well, the WHWB used the online platform that is completely in English, but all tutorials in between were actually provided in, well, first English, then secondly Portuguese, and finally in French. Well, there will be continuation of this into 2022 and, well, of course, in the future. Well, it's important that you, of course, need people who are familiar with all languages you want to teach in. So recruiting new existing members to act as training coordinators would be is well a plan that would probably move forward in the future. And we also, well, WHWB is also working on the OHTA inspectors course in 3 different developing countries. That will be an adapted course of the blended OHS training course. And there is also a plan to create the same way of blended training using the AIHA W201 training module. So if we go to the next slide, and I will continue to provide you some new educational training opportunities with ILO. So next slide, please. So we are actually working together with ILO, the Occupational Health and Safety Group, in exploring areas of cooperation. And well, now this is actually currently running, so that's why there is not that much to mention already, but we want to inform you already that this is moving on. And well, this could be using the existing OHTA courses. And also a second part is to develop new courses depending on the need from ILO to make sure that the right materials are at the right place. So if you go to the next slide, and well, this is in relation to what I showed on the world map. And well, I take this over from Tom. Well, actually, he's still the current president of IOHA. So to give you an update on how, well, what is the strategic plan and the growth in IOHA member associations. So next slide. Well, the IOHA mission is to enhance the international network of occupational hygiene organizations that promote, develop, and improve occupational hygiene worldwide, and providing a safe and healthy working environment for all. So I think, you know, well, that is a very clear mission, and it would also require, of course, to well, make sure that new members are actually joining IOHA and subsequently also joining OHTA through the Memorandum of Understanding. Well, next slide, please. So currently, as you have seen, we have within OHTA 29 members, but there are 36 IOHA members, national professional organizations. So it means that we still have to reach out to 7 national member bodies to be also member of OHTA. Well, this includes approximately 18,000 members worldwide, with a broad range of educational levels and a wide range of experience levels. So next slide, please. So IOHA has also an educational committee, and here are the objectives. So to expand awareness and understanding of the occupational hygiene profession through development of programs, curricula, and standards of practice through mutual discussions and consensus, and to expand and harmonize international occupational hygiene education, training, professional capacity and recognition, especially in economically developing countries where need is most evident. And also to create support international conferences or sessions on training and educational topics of interest and special concern to member organizations. So that is, let's say, an overview of the IOHA mission and strategic plan. And I think it's really in line with what OHTA is want to achieve in the future. Well, I think, well, here we are at the end of the presentation from our side. I see we still have at least 20 minutes, as we started 5 minutes past the hour, to give you the word and to receive your feedback and any questions you have after seeing this update from OHTA. So, well, I would suggest, so as I haven't seen any question in the chat, you can also put them still in the chat and we will definitely answer them. But those who want to take the floor are welcome to take the floor and ask their question or start a discussion. Thank you. Well, maybe if the bandwidth allows, we can also maybe put on the cameras if you like to, well, really start a discussion. So I'm not sure. Well, Derek, I see you unmuted. Well, go ahead.
Yeah, just one question. What's the long-term proposal on the examination for the 500 series? Because I take it that's staying with the BOHS at the moment for the marking.
Yes, that's indeed true. And well, this contract is still going on. So, well, I think we haven't really have a specific strategy about that, but it is clear that we will continue to work with BOHS to deliver the exams for the W500. And of course, you know, when there is a possibility or when we feel that it is not appropriate anymore, probably there will be change, but there is nothing really decided yet on this point. So we will continue, that's for sure.
Cheers.
So if anyone like David or Sven want to, well, I see some hands raised. So let's see, Janet, you have your hand raised.
Yes, thank you very much, Stephen. My name is Janet Manganya. I'm joining from South Africa. Our ATP is the National Institute for Occupational Health. I just want to confirm that, am I correct that Vicky will be the correct or the right channel to communicate should our organization have changes in terms of the ATP profile? We have recently had a resignation from one of our tutors who have been included in a profile when we made the application. So we need to make those amendments. So is it Vicky who should be contacted in this regard?
Yes. And well, Vicky, well, please go ahead.
Yes, no, thank you for the question. That's correct. If you can just send me an email explaining your changes, and then I'll pick that up with you offline. We might need to make some amendments to your original submission form, but we can deal with all of that via email. So if you can just email the main inbox, which is team@ohtatraining.org.
All right. Well, thank you, Vicky. Is that answering your question? Yeah, I see you have a thumb up, so that's fine. So I see a hand up from Mabilizatu Pearl.
Good morning, and thank you for acknowledging me. My name is pronounced Mbalizetu, but you can call me Pearl. I prefer to be called Pearl Nkosi. I'm calling in on behalf of Blue Grey Occupational Hygiene Consultants, which is one of the approved training providers. It's a South African-based company. Just some feedback from our ATP on the series of training that we've been running is that we noted in some of the manuals there are some errors. You know, it's generally semantics or the order of the manual and the slideshows, which we will send through as we go through the material. We didn't really know, but if we could have Sven's email address, then we can send, you know, those errors that we pick up in the manual and in the presentations, and we can just add on to that. The second thing is feedback from the students in terms of the examination time, which I responded to the students as, you know, it's an issue of language. You know, I picked up that they struggle to understand the question and they take time to actually respond. And 2 hours that I give to them in the exam, I always, when I just do a walkabout, see that maybe half the paper has not been answered. And thirdly, the overnight questions seem to be simple in that, you know, when they get to the actual exam, they are nowhere near prepared for that type of question. So maybe if we can also tighten up a bit on the overnight questions so that they are better prepared to handle exam questions. I think it all has to do with the language, English being a second language in South Africa for some of those candidates, and as opposed to being a first language for the candidates. And then lastly, on the overnight questions, some of them don't have answers. We just have page, numbers. So I basically go through them and I prepare the answers for them before the lecture. However, I think there is room for us to compare notes and actually just finalize those overnight question and answers there too, so that the material is consistent throughout all the ATPs that are actually running the modules. These comments are only applicable to the 500 series. On W201, there is 1 or 2 errors, and that is just on the equations and the units, which I will send through. Those are not a big deal, but really the bigger deal is on the 500 series that we've picked up on all the modules that we have run. That is my contribution, and thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Pearl. I'm not sure, David, would you are willing to comment on those
I was
questions?
going to comment on that. A couple of things there from Pearl. Firstly, with regard to any comments or suggestions of improvements or errors that you pick up, we would welcome you sending those to us. If you send them to Vicky in the first instance, and then she'll distribute them to the correct person in OHTA. So we do want to receive comments from ATPs on anything that they think is incorrect or could be improved. Also, with regard to the Pearl's comments about the language issue, it sounds like you're not aware that if English is the second language, then you can apply to BOHS as the exam provider for extra time in the exam, but you have to do that to BOHS rather than to OHTA because they run the exam. So I can send you an email address for them to contact about that. I haven't got it off the top of my head, but
well, you can put it maybe in the chat, and well, as we will share it with all participants here, well, this will also be shared. I think, Pearl, I also have put Sven's email address in the chat. So if you have any direct contribution to Sven, well, you can definitely email him, or like David said, you can always go through Vicky, and well, your questions will always end up with the right person to be answered.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you, Stephen. I just don't see Vicky's email address on the chats for some reason. If you could please put it back on again, and then I will drop an email through to her. Thank you.
One thing I intended to mention in my talk is that the OHTA board has made a policy decision that the online delivery will be a permanent option. So it will be up to ATPs to decide whether they wanted to use online delivery or face-to-face delivery. But it's not something that's just going to be discontinued, hopefully when we get rid of this pandemic situation. It will continue in any case as an option. But OHTA will not dictate which form of delivery you should have. It'll be up to the ATP to decide. But if you do want to do it by online delivery, you will need approval to do that from OHTA.
Thanks, David. So I'm following the chat. There is nothing in here. Well, the email addresses are in here, so you can reach always, well, Vicky or the main office through MCI, and by using the team@ohtatraining.org email address, you will always reach the right person for any of the questions you have. So is there any other question or remark or addition to this town hall meeting from anyone on the call? No, I don't see anything showing up. All right. So with that, I think, well, we are almost on top of the hour. So I would really like to thank you for being on our well, first town hall meeting. We will definitely be more in contact with all ATPs, and I hope actually you have now some more insights in what we are doing, who is who, what all the committees are trying to achieve, and also on our materials, the exams offerings, and so on. And well, please, if you have any question, well, not showing up maybe today by being in the call, but in the near future or in the future, please don't hesitate to contact us. We are always open to, to help you in any way and to move forward with your course delivery. So, and I would also like to thank, all my OHTA colleagues who have presented today, and because I think, it's also on all different time frames around the world. So thanks a lot for helping us going through the slides and provide the necessary information. Well, thanks a lot, and well, hope to hear from you all later. Thank you. And you will receive a link to the slides, and so you can download them there. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night, Sharon. Good night, people from New Zealand, and have a nice rest of the day from people from Europe and South Africa, I see, and also from Asia. I think it's good night already.